Have you ever heard of Universe 25? It's this famous and honestly pretty unsettling story about an experiment that tried to build a perfect world for mice and ended in complete and utter disaster.
I mean, just think about it for a second. What would happen if you had a perfect paradise? A world where every single one of your needs was met and all danger was gone? Could that actually turn into, well, a living hell? That was the big question here, and the answer turned out to be way more disturbing than anyone could have possibly imagined.
So picture this, a world built just for these mice, with unlimited food and water, absolutely no predators, and a perfect climate. It was literally designed for them to thrive. But instead of creating a happy, flourishing society, this paradise led to its own destruction. So, let's get into why.
Okay, so first up, let's look at the conventional scientific analysis. This is the reason you'll usually find in textbooks for why this mouse utopia failed so spectacularly.
The main theory revolves around this concept called the behavioral sink. Now, what's really crucial to understand is that the problem wasn't a lack of resources. It was the overwhelming stress of constant social contact. The mice were so swamped by each other that their most fundamental behaviors just started to shatter.
As the population boomed, there just wasn't any space left for the younger generation to claim their own territory or find a social role. I mean, if you have no purpose, no function within your community, what do? For these mice, the answer was to just withdraw. Completely.
And this is where things get really strange. This withdrawal led to a phenomenon the researchers called the beautiful ones. These were male mice who just stopped doing anything. They wouldn't fight, they wouldn't mate. They just ate, slept, and groomed themselves. Their coats were immaculate, but their spirits were totally empty. They were physically perfect, but socially, they were dead.
This led the head researcher, John B. Calhoun, to a really haunting conclusion. He said the mice experienced a first death, a death of the spirit. They lost their purpose, the very essence of what made them mice, long before their bodies finally gave out. It's a truly chilling idea, right? That a whole society can just die from the inside out.
So that's the standard explanation: overpopulation, social stress, and then collapse. But what if that's not the whole story? What if that's just a symptom? What if the real root cause of all this wasn't just the crowding, but something much more fundamental?
Now we're going to explore a different angle on Universe 25. This theory suggests that the true catalyst for the collapse wasn't comfort or density, but a complete and total lack of privacy.
So here you have two competing ideas. The common explanation says, hey, the problem was too many mice. But this other theory argues the real issue was that no mouse could ever be alone. They were always visible, always interacting, always on.
So why on earth would privacy be that critical? Let's break down the logic here, and why some people think it's the absolute foundation of our mental and physical resilience.
The key idea here is that privacy isn't some kind of luxury. It's not just about having a quiet moment to yourself. This theory proposes that it's a core biological need. It's the space where we recharge, where we build up the stamina we need just to deal with the world.
This lays out the chain reaction perfectly. It all starts with zero privacy. That forces constant, unending interaction. That, of course, leads to deep mental and physical exhaustion. And when you're perpetually exhausted, you can't develop your potential. And when an entire population's potential is stunted like that, the final step is total collapse.
I love this analogy. It's such a powerful way to visualize what's going on. Your personal potential is like jelly. It needs stillness to set and take form. But without a protected private space, we're constantly being stirred by the demands of others. Our own growth can never solidify.
Okay, so what does a failed mouse experiment from decades ago have to do with us? Let's bring this whole idea right into our own lives, into our families, our teams, and our society.
So why does respecting privacy matter so much? Well, when we give it to others, whether it's our kids who need to decompress after school or our colleagues trying to get some deep work done, we're not just giving them space. We are giving them the protected environment they need to develop their potential. We're shielding their growth from that constant stirring that just leads to burnout. I mean, think about it. Without privacy, your schedule isn't your own. Your priorities are constantly being overwritten by what other people need, making it almost impossible to follow your own path. And that is the core danger here. And it's just as true for us as it was for those mice. And that brings us to our final question. The mice couldn't escape their physical box.
For us, the walls are digital. In a world of endless notifications and open-plan everything, protecting that essential space is harder than ever. So, how do you carve out the privacy you need, not just to survive, but to truly grow? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.